Hey, Rahubat.
Rahubat Moisa.
We're back again.
Back in the house.
In the house. The Wu-Sabat house.
Yeah. Game changer.
Yeah, you all know what to do now. Let everyone know we're here.
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Family, friends.
Tell the dog.
Yep, cat.
Tell the cat.
Master teacher.
Master teacher.
Freedom for the master. Master teacher. Freedom for the master.
Remember, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. You kidnapped him for building tampering. So that's all. Fade away. Rahubat, Draco, Draco in the house, DJ all day, Rahubat.
How about you?
Master teacher, freedom for the master. Master teacher,
Freedom for the master. Master teacher.
let the world know we're live.
Wu-Sabat in the house.
One sec.
Hey, this is Pop and what's here? Canadian device. Master teacher. Freedom for the master.
Master teacher. Who is in the house? Let us know where you're chiming from. Alright? Hirura Rahubat. BMR Toretto 510 Rahubat. What's your opinion on Bitcoin? We're going to get into that. Don't worry, we're getting into that. Yeah, we're just warming up. Warming up. I always look forward to Tuesday because of this live. Yes. Yeah, you know we don't like Mondays.
Yeah.
That's a song by...
Bunta Rats.
Yeah. John Sexual Rahubat Moisa Rahubat. Prophecy Rahubat. Supreme Rahubat. Peace, love and unity. Ashok. Fabrice Rahubat. We appreciate love you too, Fabrice.
Master teacher. Freedom for the master.
Freedom for the Master Teacher by Love and Unity. Check it out. It's on YouTube. And we'll be streaming on all platforms very soon. Who else is in the house? Adoma Prince, Rahubat. I have a question. Yeah, that's why we're here. So we're going to get into that. We're just letting more people get online and join in. Obura. I ain't even going to try and pronounce the second name because I don't want to mess it up. Rahubat from Delta, Nigeria. Rahubat, Nigeria in the house. What, already? Wow. Let us put on the kettle and make a cup of tea. You know English people love their tea. Rahubat, who's calling? What's your name? Where you're calling from? And what's your question, please?
It's me, Gareth Muir from Jamaica.
Rahubat Zaman, how you doing?
I'm good. So last time I was asking you about like the mystical force that surrounds us, the aura.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked you if it was a godly energy that surrounds us, if that's what the aura is, because I was thinking to myself that in the Bible it said that God breathed into man the breath of life and man became a living soul. So is this godly aura that surrounds us just an extension of the breath that God breathed into us?
No, one, you have to get away from the religious mindset of this God that you're talking about, because God is a very limiting title, and you're mixing up. But the point that you're saying in terms of whatever God is, right, and wherever He is, He will be composed of the elements that are in that environment. Yeah, the aura is really dealing with your. Because you're an energy force, you have electricity that runs through you, and you have centers, energy centers that run through you, which are referred to as the glands, right? And these glands, they vibrate depending on your mind and what you're thinking and how you're growing as a being. So when you're saying the aura is really the emanation from those, what people call chakras, which are the seats. And, you know, most people know about the 7 because when they talk about them, it's usually from an Eastern, you know, whether it's Chinese or Buddhism or Hinduism, that's where they normally learn about that, because, you know, Christianity and Islam, they don't really go into that stuff, even though it's within their books. So the aura is really about the energy that extends from your body. So, yeah, those chakras have different colors depending on the vibration. So collectively is what they give the energy. Yeah, it's known by many names in different cultures. But when we're saying the energy that surrounds what we were talking about is ether. Yeah, that ether, that's what we say 9 ether, or 9 to the 9 power of 9. And it goes to levels and levels of darkness. See, this is what they're calling. They're trying to figure out what's in space, and they've worked out space, matter, and time, and they know that they work together, you know. But when we ask the question, what is it that restricts the speed of light? Because something stops the speed of light going beyond the 186,272 miles per second. Like, what is that? That's the ether, and that's the energy that we as 9 ether beings, we can connect to and tap into. Ether is in everything, but they're just different levels of it. So you can go to the lower abodes and you go to the higher abodes. And because 9 is the highest number, in terms of when you're counting, you go to 9, and then the rest are just compound numbers. And then it goes to what they call infinity, which is 9 to the 9th power of 9. But we exist, our ancestors exist beyond that. Does that make sense? Is that clear?
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about when we say ether. God can be anyone or anything that is in control. Yeah? Different cultures, different races have their gods. And we, as the African people, have our gods. But we call them ancestors, or Salafi in our language. So we know they're real. They're actually beings that walk the earth and have evolved to a very high state of consciousness as energy beings, known as etheric or Etherian beings, to the point where they have the abilities to come down here at will and go back if they choose, or if they're assigned a task or given a job, like Pana Babyanun was chosen by the forces of natural nature to come and bring in this new cycle of 24,000 years, which everybody's been waiting for, because it brings about the change. It dismisses and dispels of lies, falsehood, religions, and brings about truth. And everyone has to reckon with the truth. And as the first original people on the planet, we have secrets that have been secreted and passed down to us, that Pana Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, yeah, he's the one that's been teaching and is waking the world up to the reality of actual facts. Yeah, Patarat, which is the way. People can have all sorts of ways, but there is only one true way, and you have to reckon with that if you're about truth. So everyone out there, whether you come from the background of religion, be it Christianity, Islam, Judaism, or whatever else, scientific, if you come from a scientific background, if you're an atheist, no matter who you are on the planet, right now, it's all about Wu-Sabat.
Sure. Okay, so I also want to know this. If I say the statement to you that, or if I say this, since we are all sons and daughters of God, that means we are all gods too. Does that sound religious to you?
This is what I'm saying, but you have to break down what God and what you're referring to as God. But that's easy. Where are you getting that from? What quote would you, what's the reference? If I asked you, where did you get that from, that statement? What's the reference? Where would you say?
The reference would be Psalms 82 verse 6, where
exactly.
the Lord said, you are all gods, you
right.
are all sons and daughters of the Most High.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If you're looking at it from a religious perspective, even within the books, it tells you that. You can go to John 10:34 as well. And as my brother mentioned, Exodus 7:1, Moses was made a god unto the Pharaoh. So, you know, I was walking and, you know, there are people who are out on the streets with tannoys shouting, you need Jesus. You know, there's only one God. I heard someone was screaming, there's only one God, there's only one God. A Christian for that matter. And if you walked up to him and said to him, turn to Psalms 82:6, you know, and we've done this when we're, you know, speaking to people, and a lot of them are shocked because they don't really, the majority, and I'm talking from experience of people, if you ask them, have you read the Bible? They will say yes. You say, have you read the Bible from cover to cover? Have you read every single part? They will say yes. Or most will say no, actually. But the ones that say yes, we will turn around as Sabians, Nuwapians, and say, no, you haven't. They will say, what do you mean? We will say, do you speak the language of God? Because, you know, the Bible wasn't originally in English.
Sure.
So what language did God speak? And if they're honest, they will say they don't know. And then we'll have to go into, all right, what book are we talking about? Is it the New Testament or the Old Testament, or what they call the New and the Old Testament? If they say the New Testament, we would have to say, do you read the Greek and do you check the words out in the Greek or the Latin and so forth? If you don't, then you're not reading God's words according to they saying that it's from Greek. The other thing is you're going to say to them, does God's words change? Because Jesus will say not one jot or tittle should be removed or changed. So how do you have a New Testament? And when you start delving in, you start to find out that this was an excuse to not have to follow the laws of the Torah. Now the Torah is only the 5 books of Moses. Again, what language is that in? They would have to say Hebrew, even though Hebrew is not even a language.
Action.
Yeah, it's just a description of an action that took place with Abraham crossing the Tigris to the Euphrates River. And people that watched him referred to him as an Hebrew, which became Hebrew, which is to cross over, was an action, you see. And then we go, okay, we entertain it. Have you read it in the Hebrew? If you haven't, then you still don't know what's going on. Then we say, where did the Hebrew come from? Right? We end up with the Anunnaki stories, the Sumerian doctrine and the cuneiform and those tablets. So you ask them, does the original still exist till this day? If they're honest, they're going to say no. So you're dealing with translations of translations of translations, misinterpretations to that, and then you say, well, you've never seen the original book, you've never read the original, in fact, it doesn't even exist. So most people are lost. They're lost and they've accepted stories and they believe it. Then you say, well, what does belief mean? Belief is the acceptance of things you do not know or cannot prove.
No facts.
No facts, not based on evidence. It's just, I believe. And you can believe what you like. Many people are trying to get through. You can believe what you like.
Santa Claus, Frankenstein.
There you go. Doesn't make it true. Yeah, so you say to know because it says even in the Bible that
You shall know the truth.
you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, not set you free. That's a setup because they use words to say if you're being set free, you're admitting that you're in bondage. You see, because no one can set you free. You have to make yourself free by changing your mind in terms of getting rid of the lies, the confusion. Then you say, what does the word Bible mean? I ask Christians this all the time. What does the word holy mean? Yeah. What does the word holy mean? As in the Holy Bible. No, it doesn't mean that. The word holy means pure, unalterated, undiluted. Right? So then, the second word, Bible, what does Bible mean?
I would say to babble. It's confusion.
Exactly. So now you put it all together, you get the pure confusion.
Yeah.
And then people read it and get confused. How do we know that? Because it starts off saying, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And Nuwapians were taught by the master teacher. Who is talking?
Yeah.
Because somebody's talking and telling you a story about what God did. If there's not God relating it. So you have to say, that's the beginning, and that person is there, telling you about what God was doing. Is it at the beginning, in the beginning? Because there's a big difference in English. Little words in English make a big difference. Words like if, you know, in, as in God is inside something. He's inside heaven.
Yeah.
So that means the heaven is bigger than him.
Yeah.
God walks and talks and he grieves and he's jealous. You see, by the time we go from the beginning of the cover in terms of what it means, as in the pure confusion, you get confused from the very first chapter of Genesis. Doesn't mean the beginning. And we can do this line by line from the Genesis all the way to Revelation. And you will see that you've been led astray. Some people, not intentionally, they just follow the lie that was given to their it just passed down Chinese whispers. Before you know it, people are talking and making excuses for God. When you start to ask those difficult questions like, honestly, does God exist? And if he does, can we speak to him? Because you get these people that come on TV and they tell you they can reach and talk to people on the other side. And you know, reach out to your loved ones, your relatives that have passed over, and they'll tell you like, yeah, go down the stairs and there's a key in the, you know, all this. And we say, cool, since you have that ability, let's get Jesus on the conference call for the whole world next week.
That can't be, man.
All of a sudden, that's not possible, you know. And we don't mean to, we're not making fun of anyone's religion or people that might believe these things, but in Wu-Sabat, we want to know. We're tired of the lies, and we're tired of believing, and we're tired of just hope and wait someone to come and save you. And people have crossed over waiting for 2,000 years, for 6,000 years.
No confirmation.
No confirmation whatsoever. So we're living in a different day and time. Anyone who truly wants to know, so that a lot of mental health issues come by way of these beliefs that cannot be proven. And when you start to delve into them to say, okay, let's make it make sense. Does it make sense? Does it make sense that you're told that man came before woman when everyone on the planet comes from a woman as a fact? Does that make sense? Does it make sense that God took dust off the ground and made a man? Does it make sense that serpents talk or snakes talk?
Or an apple can give you knowledge.
Yeah, you eat an apple and all of a sudden you have all the knowledge. Like, for real.
I wouldn't take that part too literal.
Okay, how are you going to take it? Let's take it scientifically.
Yeah.
Or what? How? How are we going to take it? Spiritually?
Well, the thing is that I don't know how to take it, but
We know. That's why we're telling you. We're telling you how to take it. It's a mistake. But yet God is not supposed to make mistakes. He knows everything. He's omnipresent, omnipotent. You know, he's all that and a bag of chips.
Yeah,
With tax. So why is it that, okay, all of a sudden, we put him to the test. You know, you've heard us mention 2 people are in a car, they have an accident, one is unalive, one survives. Everyone says, thank God for the person who survived. But why did he allow the accident to happen?
Right.
Why did he allow the other person not to survive? You see, this is where God starts to look weak. God sets up things like, imagine, someone is after killing his son, right? And all he can do is say, take my son, go and run and hide in Egypt. Could he not just get rid of the person that is...
Isn't it?
Herod is the danger. But he bypasses him and goes, all right, do you know what? The best plan is take him, go and hide amongst black people. But yet, the image that you're going to get of him, is it Caucasian? Because the pictures you see of his father and his mother are Caucasian. Or they will say, okay, no, he was caramel, because that area is... What we're doing here is just really opening your eyes so that you can see, like, it's a 6,000-year-old pantomime. Yeah. It's a good story, and some people have bought it. Like, you know, you used to rent the movie from Blockbusters. We watched it, we tried it, and we're giving it back. Yeah. It's time to give it back. Yeah. It hasn't helped us, doesn't work for us, and it's time to move on. And that's why we say Wu-Sabat is that future and the answer. So I'm going to let you off unless you've got anything else you want to say.
But I think you wanted to see...
Okay. I have one last question.
Go ahead.
So, I've been thinking, there's probably been far more extraterrestrial tampering with our DNA and genetics than we think, because when you look at things that they talk about, the giants that existed, there are many more giant tribes than we know of, like the Raphaim, the Zamzunim, the Anakim. And because I even heard that in the Native American myths and such, they say that the Native Americans used to fight off red-haired giants.
Do you have a question?
Yes, but so when I'm thinking about all these different skeletons of giants being found all over the earth, and even as far as where the Native Americans are, that suggests to me that there's been more extraterrestrial tampering than we thought.
So,
am I right about that?
Yes. In terms of, if your question is, have extraterrestrials tampered with beings on the planet? Yes. Most beings on the planet are descendants of the extraterrestrials. So, yes, you're right on that. All right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's get back to the chat. Have you got, let me give you.
Hold on. It's like a mic.
Okay.
So it's safe.
Yeah, I'm saying that my hands are made tight. It's like hold the mic like that.
Call back the next person now.
All right, cool. We had many people trying to get through, so. Who's next? Let's see. Do you want to, let me give you the mic so that you can go back there. Just bear with us, we're just trying to give Asaru some questions. All right, here you go. Get rid of that. Okay, so right, let's see where we are with the comments. Hi, what's your opinion on Bitcoin. We are here to deal with and talk about Wu-Sabat, not give our opinions. But of course, you know, we, like everyone else, we get involved with investments and all kinds of stuff to do with our well-being. So Bitcoin is a good asset. It's being more and more made public now because it took a while for it to get to where it is. But I got a call, so let's take that call. Right, we're back. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, and how can we help today? Right back.
I was just asking, what's the Netaru? The Anunnaki bloodlines were different.
Tua, yes. Yes, they are. But they're also mixed as well. They're mixed. So you've got those who stayed and maintained their bloodline, and you have those who mixed. And much like today, where you have, you know, say original people that from Africa, and they're now mixed with different races and different people on the planet to produce different hybrids. Yeah.
So I was told that we not connected with the Anunnaki bloodline, but we are with the Netaru.
Okay, you remember when I said about little English words like we? When we say we. Sorry. No, I'm saying who are you considering when you're saying we? Because we is a very vague and inclusive term, because you said we, but I don't know, are you referring to who's the we that we're talking about? Not everyone on earth is from the same bloodline. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, yes, the original African, if you want to use that term, we say Nuwapians or Pataites. Those are, yes, connected and related to the Parnatharu. And that's the different bloodlines from the Anunnaki. But they also, as you know, if you read the stories of Enki, he actually went to Africa and took wives and mixed in. So, yeah. So it depends on who we're talking about. That's why, sorry, excuse me. That's why it's not about your color of your skin and skin color, because even when we look at us as, say, black, what people consider black people, we don't always all get along. And that's down to the DNA and the genetics and the blood type. And even amongst other races, they don't also get along. You know, so it's all about your DNA and who you're mixed with and why you act and behave the way you do. But the difference is that Barnabas Yanun is here to help people, because you can be taught to suppress and deal with your nature in such a way that you can suppress that animal nature that comes by way of mixing with beings that had that nature. You see, this is where, when God was saying in the Bible that it grieved him for creating man because of what he saw, the nature of that man, which was weak and wicked, and he was like evil continuously. So he was like, he's gonna wipe them out. So and start all over again. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's my question. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate, love you.
Any more? That's it?
Okay.
Alright. Wadu.
So Rahubat is greetings and Wadu is bye. So people mix it up sometimes when they're just learning the language. Okay, let's see what we got in the chat. So, oh yeah, we covered the Bitcoin. Yeah, come closer, get closer. Truth is truth, true. We covered that already. Rahubat. Yeah, we want to thank all you for supporting the channel, for supporting us, for your donations, you know, sharing, liking, subscribing. You know, we really need to get the word out. We need everyone on the planet to have the awareness of this Ha-Nabab Yanun, the supreme being that is here, and the injustice. So help us to help you by spreading the word, all right? I don't mind. Prince, you said you have a question.
Yeah, so I've been dealing with, I don't know if it's really negative spirits, entities, or psychosis, but they said that like extraterrestrials will come to this planet and cause another corruption. And the question I'm asking is that are extraterrestrials have the ability or the high advanced technology to like threaten people? Let's just say that they captured you, put you on this ship, and like they tortured you. Is there any like ways of defeating them, or do they have any weakness or anything like that? What knowledge or information that you have?
So, yes, there are different types of extraterrestrials, you see, and different ones have different natures, just like the species on the planet, in terms of what we call humans on the planet. So different extraterrestrials have different motives, different agendas. Some people, as you said, are probed when they are, when they are abducted and things like that. So it all depends on the extraterrestrial. Some of them actually just want humans for food. So everyone's experience with extraterrestrials is going to be different, and it's good to align yourself. When you say, can they be defeated? Yes, this is what, Wu-Sabat, if you're in line, you can be protected by your energy, by the things that you do, and you won't be on the menu. So it depends on you as a being and what you do to raise your consciousness and vibration. And one of the things is the diet that people have puts you on the menu. See, so we might have to turn that off, that it's a bit annoying. But so the diet that you have is basically, it gives the scent, because remember that extraterrestrials and animals, and they can smell you from a mile away, so it all depends on the extraterrestrial. There are some that just come to get food. And our ancestors are extraterrestrials, but they're here to guide and protect us and raise us up. And other extraterrestrials are here to raise the consciousness of people on the planet, so that we can move into that new era of what we call the new consciousness, the dimensional shift, the new era of truth, and not doing things in a very animalistic way. So I hope that answers your question. If not,
I think the Master is giving us tools to protect ourselves, meditation, chants, and getting in tune with our ancestors. Those are things that will help kind of protect us from those extraterrestrial spiritual beings.
So you're saying that even in the afterlife, let's just say that I know someone that even though we're humans, we have flaws, and we end up going to the afterlife, and we have love and kindness and all that. Would any negative vibration or entities or spirits would be able to bypass it? So let's just say that we died and we end up being in a heaven-like place or state. Would they be able to break that? Like let's just say that we die, we end up being in some void to where we can create our own reality, and are they able to bypass it or anything like that?
Okay, the best thing one can do today is to read the books, read the scrolls that Father Babianun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York has published, because he answers every question. And this is why we're here, student teachers, to really point you to the books. Of course, when it's new to you, we can help people clear up, the confusion that's been caused by the religions and the things that they've been believing in. So when you're saying the afterlife and we die and we go, all of that is very vague. But when you study Wu-Sabat, you get the actual answers, you see, because you're dealing with entities that basically are on different realms. And when you say we die, we don't really die. that's again one of the things that's taught in religion, because you're dealing with energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It literally transforms, transmutate, and you using what you're calling a bodysuit, a skin suit right now, and all you're doing is shedding that, and then your other essence goes back to the vibration or the realm that it belongs in, and you can continue to rise as you develop your being. You see, so what we're talking about is physical death, as in the elements that are composed of, that you're composed of, are literally bacteria. This is where they get this concept of God taking the dust of the ground from, because we're really dealing with your body is literally bacteria that goes back to the earth, and as you know, they say ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and then they then talk about something called your spirit and your soul. These parts of you are the ones that live on and then progress depending on how you have developed them, because the more potent and powerful those are, the more high in terms of the vibrations you can go to. And we have ancestors that reside on these different realms. You also have entities or extraterrestrials and different beings that reside on these different realms. And they can be agreeable or disagreeable. So you need to know what you're doing, where you're going, how you're going to get there, what's going to happen when you get there, etc., etc. This whole concept of heaven, based on how religions teach you, is misinformation. It's like we can do what we were doing at the beginning with heaven. Like, let's talk about heaven for a minute. Where is it? First of all, who decides who goes there? And when you go there, what do you do? Are you in a physical form? Are you in a spiritual form? Because people say you're going to live forever. And were you an adult, an infant, a child when you crossed over? And do you remain like that? Because they give you all these stories about going to the pearly gates and meeting angels at the gate that will let you in or not. So you made it all the way to the gate, and now you still can be turned away. Like, you know, and then what do you do when you're there? Are you physical? Because if you're physical, we know that you're physical because
there was a war up in heaven.
There was a war, yeah. And not only that, the angels wear clothes.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a gate up there.
Yeah, and let's say, do you wear the same clothes every day?
Cool,
do they get dirty? Because you're gonna have to wash them or someone. So someone must have a laundrette. So before we even get to that, someone has to make the clothes.
What's the best washing powder they could use?
White. It's got to be white powder because everything is white, and so nothing can get dirty, right? And what material is the robe? It's like
it's got to be silk, man. Silk.
Cotton, maybe. If it's cotton, then someone's got to pick cotton, and then someone's got to make the fabric, and then someone's got to make the clothes. Do you go to work? What do you eat? Like, everyone's just running around looking for their loved ones. Can you imagine how chaotic and confusing? The babies are all crawling on the floor because they can't age anymore. The adults are walking around with their walking sticks. And, you know, we say it in a way because we want people to start to realize and think that these places are fictional. But there's a place, a vibration, a realm called a haven. Yeah, this is what people are calling heaven, because that's the soul realm, right? So you have the physical realm, you have the spiritual realm, you have the soul realm, you have the mental realm. These are the 4 lower realms that you must master to continue upwards to the highest realms, 9 levels of those. And in the physical is the bottom one. This is the one we have to master. We have to learn how to control our emotions. We have to learn about, you know, all the things that karma desires, carnal desires, etc. So, I hope that's helped.
Okay, what book did you ask me to read again?
Okay, there's so many, but you can start with a book called The Master Secret, called The Spiritual You After the Physical You Dies.
Life After Death.
Life After Death. We've got, you know, just go on our website and The official worldwide website is unitedsabiansworldwide.com, and each bookstore has a list of titles covering every question you can possibly have and how to help you evolve and grow as a spiritual being, as a soul being. All right.
Are you a part of the Telegram group as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because in the Telegram group you can continue with post links and books and more information. All right.
Maybe we meet again.
Of course, you know where we are.
Yeah.
You can come and have a one-to-one, anything. We are very open,
Accessible.
We're accessible literally 24 hours a day, every day.
Yeah.
You know, we are those guys that, you know, your friendly Wu-Sabat brothers. You know, you can reach to us. Yeah. So, yeah, anytime you're ready, bro.
All right. Thank you again.
Right, man.
All right.
Wadi.
Wadi. English is so messed up. He just said, "You have a good day." This is an example of how can I have a day? It's like have a good day. I suppose a bad day, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we like to have fun, you know, because it's serious, but at the same time,
You need to balance it out.
yeah, you got to balance.
Can't
it
be too serious.
Yeah, we got to make sure we
Yeah.
make the message clear.
Yeah, that's
that,
it.
you know. All right, let's keep going with the chat. Roundabout, is that the correct spelling? Yes, that's the correct spelling.
Terry.
Yes, Terry. How you doing? Regular caller, Roundabout. How you doing today?
I'm doing my best.
Okay, what's your question for today?
Yes, I was looking at 9 ether.
Yes.
So I have 2 questions.
Go ahead.
Yes. So my first question would be, how does 9 ether consciousness affect one's spiritual awareness or their connection to higher realms? Because I'm looking at it as most millionaire beings, despite them they just like have the 9 ether energy and consciousness, just a potential which is not yet reactivated.
Which is not what related?
Due to the spell.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Which is not.
It should be activated.
It's not activated, did you say? Sorry, I'm just trying to understand your question. What did you say?
I'm saying regarding 9 ether.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. How does it affect one's spiritual awareness?
Okay.
Or their connection to higher realm?
Right. Okay. So this, I've got it now.
Then my
Yes.
next part is those with activated 9 ether consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
How can they protect it from? How can they protect the 9 ether essence from dilution, which can be on the mental level, genetic level, or spiritual level?
Right. By Wu-Sabat. That's what Wu-Sabat is here to do, to help you tap into like your higher consciousness and the things you need to do to stay, as the Muslim would put it, the Suratul Mustaqim. Stay on the straight and narrow path, because it's very easy to be influenced negatively. And your ancestors, you have, like we say, your 30 or less personality. So your ancestors that work through you, some are negative in terms of being disagreeable, most are positive in terms of being agreeable. They are the ones that you hear their voices in your head that are more dominant. In addition to that, you have external voices as well, frequencies that you're picking up that affect you. So what Wu-Sabat does, it teaches you how to live, how to think and to reason, because there are different levels of growth. So you start with what we call knowledge, that leads you to right knowledge. Then you got wisdom, that leads you to right wisdom. Then you have
Right
overstanding that leads you to right overstanding, and all of that leads you to sound right reasoning. You see, so even thinking is a lower level of reasoning. So first of all, by reading the scrolls, you start to expound your mind, and we have a scroll called the mind, because you have to do that. Yeah, you have to look at yourself, monitor your mind, monitor what you do, and what you do is related to how you think, and your thinking then produces the actions. So first of all, you have to take control of yourself, your own being, as the God that you are, or goddess, because you're in control of yourself. If nothing else, that's what you're a god of. You're a god of yourself by way of the decisions, and then the books you read give you outformation that becomes information, because it's coming from outside in. And then you start to look at the titles, like, you know, what are you interested in? Is it the health aspect, to clean yourself inside out? So we're taught how to eat. We eat to live, not to die. You see, and then that then improves your health, and they're all correlated. Your mind, your health, and you look at your spiritual aspect. What do you do to feed the spirit? And then how do you then feed the soul? And all of these questions are answered by way of the master teacher, and people make comments, because sometimes we read the comments and people will say things like, there can't be only one master. And we laugh, because we have never said there's only one master. You can have many masters, but only one master. The master. Yeah. You have a master and you have the master. Big difference. And it's like a God is different from the God. Yeah. See, so there were many people out there that teach, that can call themselves masters, but this is the master teacher. And he's the master at teaching, because he doesn't leave any stone unturned. Covers up the 360 degrees of physical information, or the seen world, and he covers 360 degrees of the unseen world, or what people call spiritual. And we only use those numbers because it represents, a circle represents completion. You see, so, but the two together give you the 720 degrees of what you must master on these lower four realms, starting with the physical, then your spiritual, then you go into the, the soul, then you go into the mental, and then you keep progressing. They're all working together hand by hand, but depending on what you're focusing on the most, that's the one that's going to have the most attention. So if you just focus on your physical all the time, you're going to neglect your spiritual aspect. And the things, the practices, like my brother was saying, meditation, relaxation, mindfulness, all the spiritual things that you're supposed to do to raise your spiritual being.
I think the master teacher said that we do more for the physical than what we do for the soul or the spirit.
Yeah. All right. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. But the other part where I was asking about, like, if the spell of ignorance was broken and the time is up, so like for most melanated beings, like would the reactivation of that night ether consciousness happen naturally, or they will need to be triggered for it to be reactivated?
Both.
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah, both. Because you could come across someone teaching the doctrine, and something, you hear something and it just sparks you. So that would be one way of being activated.
Yeah.
Or you may read a book and then get see something there, and that would give you a DNA explosion as well.
Yeah, so your DNA will go off, like when you hear something. It's just like when you're reading and watching a movie or something, and you just go, wow, or I get it now. It just, it just happens where you're totally in tune. So it could happen, but the master teacher has the tone, the three tones in one that does actually have that impact. And all you have to do is ask. See, Wu-Sabat it's a real life. What would you call it?
Do it yourself.
Yeah, there's a word I'm looking for, like case study. Yeah,
Okay.
we have millions of people across the whole planet that have tuned into Wu-Sabat that will give you their experience, their stories, and what activated them and how it's been for them since they came away from religion. And so this is real. You can speak to other people, get to know what's their experience like, and yeah, that activation does take place. There's also the natural nature in terms of the sun cycles here. The sun sends out what they call helium in its wings, but that affects your DNA as well. It affects your melanin, and you can receive information from your ancestors that will do it. You might be in a situation where you've had to go through something. Like you said, you may fall out of a plane and live, and that just wakes you up. Like, I'm supposed to be here because there's no way I should still be here. So it depends on the individual and how their awakening starts, or what is it that sparks their DNA. Yeah, but go ahead. I think you were going to say something else.
Yeah, no, I think that was pretty much it.
Okay. Appreciate you. Thanks for your call. All right. All right, cool. Let's see what's in the chat. Right, where were we? We were. Remember, callers get priority. So, if you want to really get your questions, you call in. Okay, what's the next question?
I was going to see this one.
Okay, wait. There's tapping in. Okay, there's just tapping in from Texas. That's Solar Ray Turns. Rahul back from Massachusetts. Right, here's a question. Biko. Hey, I got a question. I've gotten threatened by extraterrestrials. Do they really have the power and the technology to torture? I think that's the one that called in, right? Torture us and trap our consciousness, and how strong are they? Yeah, we did cover that, but they do have that power. But when you say you got threatened by them, I mean, how? And did you see them? Did you interact with them? How did they threaten you? But there are different types of extraterrestrials. We already spoke about that. But yeah, they do have technology and the ability to do a lot of manipulation, in terms of they can appear in your dreams and mess with you and all kinds of stuff. So, question: explain the true meaning of the Ankh and origin. Right. So there's so much to the Ankh, but most people are familiar with that. It's the key of life, key to life, because our ancestors in ancient Egypt always carried it. It represents many things, like the woman and birth. The male is the key to life, because the cross is the one that represents death. Because obviously they tell you that Jesus was crucified on the cross, and that kind of resembles where they took the Ankh, where they took the cross off of the Ankh. So, I mean, if you're talking about what you see us with, that's not, it's a double resurrection, a double Ankh, okay? It represents many things. It represents the time period we're in now, when people are being resurrected, the real resurrection, where you're waking up, and it deals with symbolically the hour, the first half hour and the second half hour spoken about in this time period, and that is from 1970 to the year 2000, and from the year 2000 to 2030, which we're living in now. And those who are waking up, getting resurrected from the mental death and physical death as well, because you do have people that are walking around. They call those the living dead. So
trapped by way of religion.
Yeah, so there's a lot to the Ankh. It represents the key to life. So you need to get that key and open the door. and you need to know what door that is to open and where it leads you to, which just takes you further. If you're not.
It's good, but complaining about the fan.
Oh, see, I told you. Right, let's move closer. Yeah, that's we can't do much about it. So laptop. Let's put it down a bit. We had technical problems today. As you can see, we've got a different setup than we normally have. But we're doing our best.
Yeah, it's not going to stop us.
Yeah, we keep on. We never let anything stop us. No 6-meter forces. Okay. Yeah, hope we've answered that question. Oh, the other thing is we have classes and we have the Telegram group for people to ask questions, because you can ask us the same question 5 different or 10 different times and you will get different or more information, because they're bits and pieces that we can build and add on to. So it's always good to probe and ask more questions, and that's why we say attend classes, so that and different teachers will teach and give you more information based on, you know, what they have to add to what we say. So, but yeah, I hope that answered that question. I know you said this is going okay. I got one. Yeah, we covered that one. Question explained. Okay, that's the one we just covered. Are we Anunnaki bloodline? Some people are. We already covered that one as well. Next question. Okay, I know you said the master teacher said what people do in their room should not be our business. What I want to know is, being homosexuality really bad, and can it deny us from raising our vibration? Yeah. Okay. In terms of people's sexuality, we say that's their business, and that's why the masters say we should stay out of people's bedrooms, because you need to really mind your own business and focus on yourself. But we don't gay bash, and we're not like homophobic.
I think the master teacher broke it down one time, like I think the master teacher broke it down last time. It was like if there was a crash and there was only 2 people that survived, and one of them happened to be a gay person, would you befriend that person and let them save you, or would you say, you know what, you're gay, leave me here to die?
Well, when we're talking about people's sexual preferences, that's entirely different to when we're talking about things like to prolong our race. It's about procreating, right? So we as Sabians, we want to prolong our legacy, our children. So we are about obviously having offspring. However, because somebody chooses a different sexual preference doesn't mean that we hate them or we, bash. We still treat them as decent human beings, as we are. Yeah, still life. So what we're saying is, and there's a big misconception between hormone sexual, which is dealing with your hormones, as opposed to the homosexuality, because you do have people that are just oversexed and they don't have no control, and they don't know the difference between prolonging and dealing with the hormones. This is why people that are, for example, another misconception is where you have beings that have the double resonance or the double frequency, where you can be a physical male but have a female spirit, or vice versa, where you can be a physical female but have a male spirit, and you will tend to act and behave like what you're really on the inside. And sometimes that might be misconstrued as a male who's acting very feminine. They would consider them to be tomboy, or homosexual. And this is where this notion of people don't know about this type of information, which the master teacher part about the Anun broke down in like the genetic kiss, which is an actual fact. And he explains about beings that are like hermaphrodite and hermaphrodite who have double portions of sexual organs, male and female. So it all depends on the circumstance. And now you have people who say they want to change their physical appearance to match how they feel on the inside. So you have those who will be like, I feel everything about me feels like I'm a woman. And so they will try and change their physical appearance as a male to match how they feel, because they don't have this information, you see. But in ancient times, when you look at people like Ankh, he was a being that if you look at him physically, he had mammary glands and he had hips and a shape that would look more feminine. Yeah, so, but he was a male. He was a, so this is why we don't, with what you're calling homosexuality, is all dependent on individual situations and circumstances. And bad and good is subjective as well. When you say, is it really bad? To a group of people who want to have children and procreate and continue, of course, to them it's going to be bad not to have male and female relationship. But to another, that don't want that, I think we've kind of covered it, right? Is there anything else you want to touch on it? Yeah. Okay. Eugene Williams, one more question. Do you guys have any herbs that you would recommend to somebody who has MS? What's MS? I'm trying to...
Multiple sclerosis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we do have loads of herbs in the many stores. But you would need to come and have a consultation with someone, because we don't really give medical advice, but we do have natural herbs in the place. And sometimes it could be something else related to what the symptoms are. So, it's definitely worth having a consultation to make sure that you're taking and being recommended the right herbs. So yes, we do have. We'll put the links in the chat. Okay, next question. Rahubat from West Africa, Ghana. My question is, why do certain cultures in West Africa, especially the Ewe tribe, request that their bodies be cremated as witches? I don't know about the as witches part, but it's because it's the best thing to do now in order to release your essence back into nature and into ether, and to allow your spirit and your soul to progress. Because life is in the blood is in the marrow, and the marrow is inside the bone. And when you're still here, once the essence leaves, your physical body still has a connection and still has the life force within it, because the liquids are in your body and in the blood and in the marrow. So you will be trapped here for a long time until the body decomposes and goes back to the earth. But they preserve it by putting it inside a casket that is made of hardwood or metal sometimes, and then you put that on the ground, and then you put the dust on it, and then you put sometimes cement on it. So it traps you here for a long time, so you're still connected to the different realms. So by the cremation, it's easier because you're released to the ether, or to the different etheric realms. Okay, the witches part, that's coming from mythology, from how women were supposedly called witches and burnt on stakes and things like that, because they didn't really understand the powers that women had. You know, they will tell you that women have this extra sensory perception that they have, and some women have the abilities to do many things. So those who don't really understand that power, just like, I mean, they it wasn't just women. They used to kill people for all sorts of things. So people who said that the world wasn't flat, they wanted to kill them. So, yeah. Okay, another question. No, we'll cover that. No, is that the same question? Yeah, that was twice. It's the same question twice. Wu-Sabat family. Now we rise, flash 100%. Indeed we do. Been a long time coming. Now we're humming. The holy tones. Okay, let's go again. That's the third time you asked that question, Adama. Alright, cool. Dorinda. Wu-Sabat. Glad to see you both. Please tell us what you really want us to focus on at this time. Example, read, practice, what really matters right now. Both opinions, please. Right.
All of the above.
I knew you were going to say that.
Read.
Oh, okay. Go on, you go first.
Like, watch the videos, read, do the meditation, the chants.
Okay.
And any questions that you're not familiar with, just come and ask us, or go and join the Telegram group.
Yeah.
Get your questions across.
Let's take this call and then I'll give you mine, alright? Yeah. Wu-Sabat. Caller, where you calling from? What's your name and what's your question, please?
Wu-Sabat, Zakid, and Astrology. This is Rita.
Wu-Sabat.
San Francisco Bay Area.
Wu-Sabat.
So
We had a one-to-one, right?
yes, we did. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
I remember your tone.
Yeah.
Greetings. Yes.
So I'm really happy to talk to you all. And just, I think a few questions ago, there was a question about symbolism. And I wanted to ask you about that because with celebrities, I see a lot of Egyptian symbolism, but it seems to be inverted. And I feel like for people who don't know what this symbolism means and the origins, and that it wasn't meant to be like satanic, when they see celebrities who are dabbling in a little bit of that and then using the symbolism, it can be confusing. Because I've had people, if I wear, my Ankh, there are individuals that think that this is satanic.
You're definitely going to hell. Yeah.
And so, but I'm drinking green juices, I'm wearing my Ankh, and they're like, wait, what's going on? And so I have to explain, but I was wondering, I see a lot of that, like the Eye of Horus, when they cover one eye and things like that. My question is, I know things are inverted, but how do you, there's discernment, so I get it, but for other individuals to be able to explain this, and with the celebrities themselves, we're seeing the dual contrast. How do you explain something like that, and why do they use both and then invert it? Is it just more of the program?
Yes, a lot of that is confusion for a start, because that's what they do to distort things, and it really all comes from the Bible, because the narrative in the Bible is that the Egyptians are pagans and that they are bad people, and the Israelites are the heroes, and so there's this whole concept of the Egyptians are bad people. And because they didn't really understand or know much about our culture, they would say that we are pagans, because we had, if you look at the wars of Egypt and you saw people wearing a mask, they didn't really know what that was all about. So they just said, oh, they worship animals and all kinds of stuff. Now, in that story though, everyone that was in trouble runs to Egypt
That's it.
to hide or to get salvation or to be saved. Jesus, Abraham, Moses, everyone goes to Egypt.
Even
Joseph,
God himself comes from Egypt.
even God comes from Egypt. You can read that. What's the quote? Is it
Hosea
Yeah.
12:9 and 13:4.
Right. And even books of Revelation, we say 3:14 tells you, you know, that God was created and he was being witnessed by who? Amun. And this is how it all winds up in the end of the prayers where they say Amen, Amen, Amen. So the programming is that to stop you from connecting with your ancestors,
That's it.
to know who you really are. So in the kind of the music industry and the industry, they just, like you say, try and confuse everyone. But really, if you want to know anything, you have to do the research yourself and find out who, you know. But yeah, you're right that people would wear a cross and someone else would wear an Ankh. When you say, okay, why are you wearing the cross? What is it a symbol of? And it's a symbol of death, because you find that symbol on the top of churches where people are mentally dead, and you find it on top of a tombstone where people are physically dead. You see, so, and then the inverted one is to make you think that I worship Satan instead of God.
Yes.
But it doesn't even make sense, because it's like the 6 and the 9. You know, it's like everything has polarity on the 3-dimensional world. It's not that is good or bad, because even people that say they don't believe in God because they're atheists, right? It's one of the funniest things, because you ask them, what does the word atheist mean? And it means God when you do the research.
Right.
So you don't believe in God, but you're an atheist, which actually means God. You see, so yeah, it's a lot of programming, as you said, and they just need to get the right knowledge about the symbols. They say pictures tell 1,000 words, and so we have to really educate them, because they are playing games, making evil face.
You just read my mind. You know how they flip our things as well.
Yeah.
They make our things look negative. You know, black market, black sheep, black male, black bull, Egypt. You know, negative. It's all a game.
And most of the artists are puppets that are controlled by their contracts that they've signed. So a lot of times it's programming. Yeah, it's a lot of programming.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I totally get that, and I do. You know, I understand. This is why I do research, and I look at the origins of things, and you know, and tell people that it is twisted to keep you, you know, in this state of chaos. So yeah, it's really, you know, kind of determining what is matrix and what is the truth. So
that's right.
I really appreciate. Yeah, I really appreciate you and Asala for, you know, for how you explain things, and you know, and also bringing the truth in such a real way in real time, because you know, just like the Bible, it reaches back to so much history, but people don't know how to correlate it to where we are today in real time.
Yeah, a lot of it is fear as well, because you know, this whole devil worship is so funny, because it's like all atheist people, because you say, okay, you don't believe in God, but do you believe in the ground, earth? Because you have to stand on it and walk in it. So you believe in something. Do you believe in air? Because you need to breathe. You see, so, and then when we go into the devil worship thing, it's like, it's just a mockery, because you'll be like, okay, who gives the devil his power? Who gives the devil his power? If God created everything and created the devil, and then they say he turned bad, then you say, on whose watch? Because where was God when he was turning bad? And how comes God doesn't have the power to get rid of him if he's the most powerful? And you just realize it's a polarity. It's a game of you have to have one to have the other, you know, because
Absolutely.
if you don't have a devil, what's the purpose of God?
Like Joker in the background.
Yeah, it's like if you don't have
Yeah.
the police, what's the point? Or should I say, if you don't have crime, what's the purpose of the police?
Yeah.
You see, so you have to
Yes.
repurpose everything. You have to repurpose the police to do what they should do, which is walk the neighborhoods, you know, help old ladies cross the streets, get cats out of the trees, and
Not harass the brothers.
yeah, you know, do the humane things.
Yeah.
You're helping people, you know. And I mean that might be a silly example, but go on.
No, yeah, no, I totally understand that. One thing I did have a question about, you know, for nine ether beings to experience all of the discrimination, and I know that there are many cultures and many ether beings that have experienced discrimination and all of that, but for me to think of the nine ether beings being the most targeted, you know, I often wonder if the experiences that we have, I mean, for me, it shows resilience. If you can move through it. But I feel like while this is all feeling like, you know, very chaotic and destructive, it shows another side of the human spirit or the spirit of the being, you know.
That's right. They say what don't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, and it's ridiculous. It's been crazy. It's been a whirlwind of so much. But I feel like, you know, it. When you talk about the fact that Dr. Malachi New York is in prison, and this really is an opportunity to see what we do while he's there. I feel like, you know, on some level, for nine ether beings and for all beings, really, it's this this quest to get together, to rise up, to you know,
love and unity come together. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I appreciate that. I was also wondering, because I know 6 ether being and 9 ether being, you know, that's inverted. Is there symbolism there too?
Yes.
Based on what 6 ether beings have done, and then 9 ether beings. Can you explain that to me? Because these are just thoughts that I've had about it being inverted and being connected in some way.
Yeah, I mean they can't. It's like love and hate. It's like a love and hate relationship where, you know, like unfortunately they are only able to get to 6 ether or less, 5 or 6 ether beings, because unfortunately their transgressions meant that they mixed with animals, and because animals only have spirits, they can only ascend so far. And it's funny because there's a question about animals next as well. So there is a love-hate relationship of wanting to be you but can't be you, and it's jealousy really, and it's called enmity in the Bible, where God put enmity between the serpent and the woman, and that means hate, or you know, this jealousy, and so much so that it blinds you to the point of, you know, we talk about racism and certain things that, you know, mean that we can't be able to get along and just all work together. Of course, those who get past that can, but these are the things that have held us back, not just as Nagaru, but as humanity, you know. And it's a time now where those old ways have to go. They have to be eradicated so that people can actually raise their vibration and think as supreme beings. You see, so. But yeah, it comes down to everyone. Everyone has the responsibility to clean themselves up, to do the right thing, and then that becomes the example that many people see and follow. But yeah, we definitely have to come together in love and unity to survive.
That's the order of the day.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
yes, well, power tap to you both. I greatly appreciate you two.
And
Or
I
appreciate love.
Why do until next time? Okay.
Okay, well, I do.
Okay, the next question was about
Press that dial.
This
That
one.
one. Yeah, see if that does anything. Just press it once.
1,
That's it.
2, microphone check.
I'm going to tell you to press it again if you need, yeah?
All right. We're just, like we say, trying to make sure we give you the best experience. The some technical issues that are trying to hinder our delivery today, but we're going. Is that better?
We're sailing through this, man.
Okay, that's another test. But yeah, in the meantime, what does Wu-Sabat say about our pets that have passed on, for example, dogs and cats, when they cross over? Are they insignificant, or can we remain in contact with them? Do they try to protect and reach? Why are you laughing? That's insensitive, you know. So people are very attached to their animals, you know. All right, let me answer that. So remember, animals do have spirits, and they can only go as far as the spiritual realm. So you can connect with them. Asara's cracking me up. But we have a scroll called the 33 Commandments, which goes into more information about animals and, you know, whether we should enslave them and so on. We've got a question, so let me just... Rahul Batkola, what's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your question, please?
Yeah, my name is Marvin Joseph. I'm calling from the island of Trinidad and Tobago.
Rahul
Very
Bat.
pleased to be here with you, gentlemen.
Rahul Bat.
Yes.
What I wanted to ask is this. With all the knowledge I'm understanding from Wu-Sabat,
Yes.
is it still a very good idea to be a Freemason?
Well, it depends on your understanding or overstanding of what you're calling Freemason. Because most people don't know.
Scottish Rite.
Right, so there's Euro-Masonry, just like everything else. You have agreeable and disagreeable. You know, like there are good people who want to know the truth that are in Christianity, in Islam, and Judaism. But they're caught up by way of the disagreeable with the lies, the fictions, and people that are really not about the truth. So when you're dealing with Masonry, you have to study Masonry and go back to its origins and what does it mean, what does it do, and like, and then you have the perversions that have taken from the original Egyptian Masonic order, which is the original where they were the builders. That's what a Mason is, the builders. But when you say builder, what are you building? We're talking about the builders of everything, from the unseen to what people call the seen. So when you're saying building blocks of life, you're talking about the intelligence that put the atoms together, because remember, when you're saying atoms, that's the building blocks of life in the physical world. And when you start to go into the science of how atoms are arranged, and then coming from that, what people call unseen, as in, you know, the different density levels, right, coming from what we call 9 ether and coming down to matter. Yeah, so you've got the density to the matter, to the atoms, to the cells that then form the organs that form the body. That's the physical building of a person. Then those people then build things like the pyramids with supreme mathematics that till this day is baffling the people that try to find out how was it done, what were they used for, what were their purpose. And Europeans have spent years and years trying to figure this out. And of course, you know, it's in the news right now about how they're now deciphering a few more things about them. The pyramids were built by our ancestors, who were the real builders, who came from outside of this planet, from the Orion and the Sirius star constellation, why they're aligned to the Orion's belt. But these are the secrets. Sorry, go on.
So, in a nutshell, you're saying,
I was just about to tie it into the point where Europeans that are called Masons today came to Egypt to be taught these 3 degrees that they have used to run the world, which most people know as EA, Entered Apprentice, FC, Fellowcraft, and MM for Master Mason. but they still don't know the other degrees I mentioned, the 720 degrees. You see, so I mean, I interrupted you, but I wanted to just land on that point before we continue. Go ahead.
All right, so you're saying if I'm interested in entering Freemasonry, I must do my due diligence research prior.
Exactly, absolutely. Just like anything else, before you go into any Christianity or like we know that religion is not the way. But I'm saying if you were gonna still do it, you have to do what we did. We studied it thoroughly and researched it, read the books and lived it, so that we can actually speak about it from a point of view of not ignorance, but actually experience.
I have seen Dr. Malachi CEO in full Freemasonry regard.
Right.
Years of report, years of
Yes.
Is that was all of a part of his ways, like how he was asking al Mansal Ali. Was that all a part of his ways to get the real 90 of people to come together? Was that strategy in itself?
Like we learned about everything. We learned, and that was one of the ways to take you back to being remember, even in the Euromasonry, they teach you about who's the first Mason. Nimrod. Nimrod was a mighty builder. Yeah, and Nimrod's father was who? Cush. The Cush goes back to Egypt. You see, so the original builders that have the secrets of how things are built, whether they're spiritual or physical, are those original ancient Egyptians. This is why all the great teachers went to Egypt. Jesus was taught in Egypt. He was taught alchemy in Egypt. Why they tell you he was able to... Sorry, let me just finish my thought, please. Let me just finish my thought. So he was taught in Egypt what we call alchemy. You get the word alchem or chem, becomes chemistry. And that's why he was able to multiply the bread and the fish and all that stuff that people call miracles. It's just the knowledge that he was taught in Egypt. Moses was taught in Egypt and how he was able to turn his staff into what they call a snake. We can keep going through every single... Joseph went to Egypt and became rich and then sent for his whole family. The Egyptians were the ones with all the knowledge and the secrets and the great civilizers of the West, because all the Europeans from Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, name them, they all went, Alexander, they all went and studied in Egypt so they can learn the higher sciences. But go ahead, I just wanted to finish that point.
I smoked marijuana quite some time and enjoy it quite a lot. I understand you guys don't advocate smoking. Smoking is not a good thing for your health. If someone likes marijuana so much, is there a correct way to use it? Is there a better way of using it than just smoking?
Yes. You're not supposed to smoke anything. Your lungs are not designed for smoke. You get natural herbs like tea and, having things in a natural form as an herb is going to be better for you, of course. But we do not advocate you getting intoxicated, because that clouds your mind and your judgment of things. So you can be able to achieve those higher states naturally. So you can be on a natural high. You don't need anything else as a substance to try and imitate that higher connection, because a lot of people would do things like ayahuasca and they do different things, take mushrooms, and they wanna like fast track the spiritual connection when you can do it naturally without needing all those things. You see, but it's in the books. It's in the orders that we are taught, because you have to start as a baby in terms of when you come into Wu-Sabat, do the basics. I think that's the question I'm going to go back to, which the sister is asking, like, what do you do first? First thing you do is study, read the book, get to know who the master teacher is. Have that connection with him by yourself without anybody else's influence. And in doing so, by reading the books, you then know how to act, what to behave, what to do, and then you get involved with the community and start to work in unity with your brothers and sisters, then you get to learn more about these orders that you were talking about, like the ancient Egyptian order, like, you know, the brotherhood. You know, there are many orders that you can learn more about and then be raised in degree. Sisterhood. Yeah.
Indeed, excellent. I'm sorry for interrupting your answers, sir. I'm just so excited to just get questions asked.
Yes. I feel
one more question.
Sure.
I'm seeing on TikTok there are a lot of creators around the world. They are stating that it's from the 200 angels that fell. Are these things that are trending true? And also to add like Tataria and these other beings they're talking about in the inner earth, all these trends, do they have some truth? Is it all truth?
There's
or
no.
are they trying to the master teacher's understandings fully?
What is it? There's no smoke without fire. Yeah, there's an element of truth there, but then it gets distorted, and like the confusion comes in because they mix truth with falsehood. Yeah, but we have the actual facts, and we have the master's secrets, which no one else has. So yeah, all these things get demystified in terms of Wu-Sabat because we set the record straight, and that's why we make ourselves accessible, you know, all over the world for people to find out for themselves. Because at the end of the day, your soul is your responsibility. So you have to make the decision for your soul, for yourself. But the truth will resonate with you and you will know it. And you, of course, have your ancestors who are also a part of you and they will work with you and guide you in the right direction.
When can I call again and ask you guys more questions? I have a list of questions. When can I call a one-on-one?
You could do a one-on-one. We have the option where we can sit together. I'm sure if you go on OSM Vision, you see the different people we've had one-to-one with. That's one. Immediately, you can join the Telegram group if you haven't already done so. The Telegram group is there and you can ask questions anytime throughout. You can attend our events. We have events online for anybody anywhere in the world to join on Zoom and on Clubhouse. You can tune in next week, Tuesday, and ask more questions. You know, there are many ways that you can attend any of the locations that we have worldwide.
You can fly over.
You can fly over. There are many, many ways. We make ourselves accessible. So, yeah, that's how you can. All right?
Great. I have met one of the master's teachers, I think his son. He told me that his name is Ankh. He lives in Trinidad and Tobago. And there is one of the temples. But it seems that his mom at this time is having certain medical situations that I'm not sure about. And I don't get to discuss certain things with him at this time. I don't know if you guys know him. I don't know how much if Malachi is your Asheran all over the world.
Yes, he actually, I mean, people travel, don't they? So his children are active and yeah, but definitely, we're not going to speak on people's personal business online, but yeah, but yes, he does have children.
All right. A question came to my mind. Is there a correct time to cut your son's hair from a baby growing up? Is there a correct time to get rid until 5 years old, 4 years old? Because there's a mole on their head that is very soft and it tends to develop through time to harden.
Yes.
Any information on?
Yes, of course. I mean, it depends on your personal circumstance and situation, but you know, we don't really, you know, there's no like specific time, but you just got to use your judgment and dissension in terms of, obviously, if you don't want to do it too early when that soft spot that you're talking about, if it's going to get damaged or anything. So just wait. The thing about hair is that people are attached to the hair because of the whole thing with Samson and the 9 ether hair connection to the sun and all of that. And people think that it's only based on the external. But your hair grows from the inside of your head and comes out. So you still have that antenna, that connection, even if you don't have the hair protruding outside. You know, this is where the whole confusion with people wearing, you know, locks and all kinds of stuff and never wanting to cut their hair. But I'm just touching on that as a different aspect. But what I'm saying is if you cut the hair, it will grow, you know. And but of course, if you want to wear your natural 9-ether throne, that's also good. But as a child, you're the parent, so you use your best judgment. What's good for the child, okay?
Will your heart actually be created by Anubis?
Well,
another dimension?
no, not like that, not physically like that, but your intentions and your thoughts are recorded in your matrix, and those stories were like riddles and ways of expressing and teaching about doing goodness, and your heart seat is the one that shows love, or what we call ashuk, divine love. So yes, that energy in terms of how you treat people or how you know, shown ashuk is very important. It is recorded in your knee stone.
How can one forgive?
How can one forget what? Sorry. We're gonna have to make this the last question. We have so many questions to get through on the chat, but yeah, please.
Is a list I'm looking at?
You definitely gonna have you can have a one-to-one.
Yeah,
that way you can go through the question. All right, make this the last one, just so we can attend to others as well.
Actually, forgive a mistake, forget about it, be lighthearted, move on, and be holistic. How can one strive for that?
By applying Wu-Sabat to their life. And Wu-Sabat is a culture. It's not just about reading the books, it's applying that knowledge in terms of how you deal with yourself, people around you, and humanity, and you literally living Wu-Sabat as a culture. And learning your language, etc., etc. All right, we have another caller, so I'm going to have to end it, right?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Rahubat caller, what's your name, where you're calling from, and what's your question, please?
Rahubat.
Rahubat.
I'm calling from London. So, yeah, my question is just on mitochondrial DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I've just kind of through research what you guys have been saying and through some of the things that the master teacher's written on how the female was obviously the first being in terms of the male and the female species. And then my question is quickly just how does, like, what's the correlation between the mitochondrial DNA? From my understanding, mitochondria is like the energy powerhouse of the cell, and that's what provides your energy. That's what provides your cells with energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the link between the mitochondrial DNA and the women being here first? If that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense.
The mitochondria comes through by the female, so she's the record keeper.
Yeah.
So it's only passed from female to female.
Okay.
That's the link, because she keeps the record, as my brother just said. So.
Okay, got it. So that's also read somewhere that my people said that if a female doesn't have, if she has offspring and she doesn't have a girl, then her genetic record isn't part of the son.
That's right.
But we know that if she has a son, she could still be traced on the son. I didn't really understand how that works.
Yeah, because it's only passed from female to female. So if she has a son, the son can't pass it on. So it kind of stops with her son.
Okay. But her lineage can end in a sense. I think specifically, that's what
Yeah.
the master teacher said. So, but her DNA can still be.
Yeah, because you've got different parts of the DNA. The DNA can still be passed from son to son. It's just that the mitochondrial part of it is not passed down.
Okay, and it's the mitochondria that's supposed to be probably the most like ancient organ now in terms of like how old it is amongst.
Yeah, because the female was first.
Something like that.
Yeah, because the female was first. And this is where in religion they turned everything back to front because the men were trying to hide that fact. And that's why they gave you that fictitious story about God created Adam first by the dust of the ground and then created a woman because religion was really man-made by men to control people.
Right.
And they kept that as a big secret, putting the woman in the background to the point where all the imams, the preachers and the pastors, everybody was a man, the prime ministers, presidents and all of that. And obviously then the truth started to come out in terms of the science, like X chromosomes and XY, and how is it possible that God is there first if man comes from a woman? So where did God come from then? And then if he's a man and he has a belly button,
Navel, yep.
because all males have belly buttons, that means that he was fed.
Someone mentioned that.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I didn't really have thought for that. It was just like, it's common sense if you really ask the question. It's like, okay,
That's right.
Adam have a belly button.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and that to most people, if you say that, it's like, what?
Yeah, he's just throwing them off because they're not thinking like that. Yeah.
Okay, so if he did, or if he didn't, well, I don't know, maybe I've never seen that type of being. Maybe we have to go into that kind of conversation.
Yeah, because
If he does, then well, then, all right, I didn't know he came from somewhere. He must have come from a woman. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah.
And then the thing is, in life, in nature, things are very simple and obvious. Because you just say, if that's how it started, it should still be going on now.
Right.
And what is going on now is that every single person on the planet comes from a woman. That's an actual fact, men and women. And then you start to look at how do they do it, because they secreted fluids, right, from the bulb, what's it called,
Bulbary gland? Bulbal gland.
Yeah, that's it, the bulbal gland, right? And this process is known as parthenogenesis.
Yeah.
Parthenogenesis deal with how.
We researched that as well, and it's like, it has occurred, but it is quite rare.
Yeah,
Quite rare.
yeah, exactly. Not only that, when you look at fluids and how you secrete fluids, you have to know that at like 6 weeks, the gender, the child is genderless. Yeah, so then what you see is that the protruding that becomes a penis comes outward and it goes backwards in the female to become what is referred to as the clitoris. So it's very obvious that they could secrete fluids into themselves and procreate. And single cells start off and then they split, and as you said, you've done some research. This is where Wu-Sabat is about science, is about facts, is about make it make sense, research and prove it, and to just say this guy
Woman come from man's rib.
Yeah. Not
like,
not even that, like the Holy Mary thing. Like, the Virgin Mary. Like, okay, she had a son. So where did the Y chromosome come from? Yeah. For her to give birth to a male. These are the things that Wu-Sabat and Master Teacher was asking. And so I'm glad you're studying and researching, and that's the way.
I was reading into that book, and then it was just a lot of information, and it was I had the questions I thought I'd come. Obviously ask you guys.
But put that to the Christians though. Ask them, did Adam have a navel? I mean, just
they're going to tell you he had some mysterious spiritual one, spiritual navel.
That's such a scratch the surface type of question, but till man, head starts shaking and all sorts start coming out. And it's like,
Yeah, they start speaking in tongues.
speaking in tongues and
Or should I say gibberish? Not even tongues, because tongues is when you can speak different languages.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said you had one more question before we. Yeah.
So like obviously, like usually when I'm outside, I'm always constantly looking up at the
Yeah.
sky, and always fascinated with the stars. And then since like looking into Wu-Sabat and the numerous times that Orion pops up when you're dealing with this with the Panatharu
Yeah.
theory. Yeah, so then I start looking at Orion, and it's like I've always kind of seen it there, but it's like when you see, it's like you know when someone pulls one out,
Yeah.
and it's like
You start seeing it more in it. Yeah.
so it's like every time when I'm in my back garden, I'm always looking up at that. I'm like, oh snap, that's Orion. It's like,
Yeah.
and the connection is a lot stronger. It's like, it's mad, but when I talk to the guys, it's like, no, to me, I'm like, yeah, that's their wife already.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've always kind of had this connection with the heavens. But it's like, with Wu-Sabat, do you guys kind of, is there any like, especially when dealing with maybe prayers or affirmations?
Yeah, Wu-Sabat covers everything. It covers everything. Yeah. You just gotta come closer to the family and kind of like get to. Yeah.
Without a doubt, you guys would local, you guys are down the road.
Yeah.
I would definitely
Come through.
like come through and say hello.
You coming tomorrow?
Come break some bread.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
The building needs to, like, I need to definitely, I look forward to contributing.
Good. Yeah.
Don't forget the jollof rice.
Say again.
Don't forget the jollof rice when you coming
Don't
down.
mind the sound, man. All right.
So what I'm going to say is I'm just quickly touching on the start.
Yeah.
Anything that Mr. Bratton does in terms of like when Orion is, like when you do look up in the sky, you do
Yeah.
kind of see constellations. But is there anything that you do like in terms of affirmations or anything that you speak specifically, or are you saying that that's kind of like that information like coming to be able to attain that knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, we give reverence and we give respect as animists to, heavenly bodies, and we know that we're tied to that energy in it from our original home and stuff. So, yeah, but there are chants and certain rituals and certain things that you do that will help you make a connection, a better connection as well. Yeah. All right.
And then lastly, based on that, what books would you recommend to learn the language of scrolls?
Okay. Yeah, we have the Telegram groups that teach the language every day because the language changes and it's alive. So the first thing is to be in that forum so that everything to do with the language is actually updated and posted there. And then the books are there as well. We have, the Pala Hedge language, which is the language book. Pala Hedge, Shalel Wakut, the language of time. Yeah. And others as well, books. Yeah, Wakut time. Yeah, being around people that speak, and at the moment it doesn't really matter as long as you're using it. We don't all have the perfect pronunciation. Others are better than others, but yeah, just being around and speaking and hearing it constantly gives you the right tones and vibration. All right, but we definitely, yeah, and tap, yeah, powerful. What is? To get a drink, so do you want to
You got a donation as well when you're ready.
Marty, is it Marty?
I'm gonna try this one more thing. Last thing.
Yeah, we'll get through today. Right. Do you want to okay, let's have a look at who's showing us some love in the form of the donation. There we go. Oh, little brother. Oh yes, thanks for reminding me. Yes, what did I say his name was? It's escaped me.
told you
guys.
see internet.
No, I know the channel is IPH. It's just Vance? No. IPH. I'm gonna find out. But there's the brother from IPH channel. So Lawrence, his name's escaped me. But the brother, anyway, he basically takes some clips from our videos, and then his content is really good. So I wanted to give him a shout because I watched the latest one that he did from the semen retention.
Maybe you see that one.
Yeah, great video. And he said one day that he doesn't know if I watch his videos, and I'm sure I already subscribed to the channel and I do watch the videos. So we wanted to just give you a shout out. We will get that's him, but his name's not on there. No, it's not on there. That's the channel IPHD, but his name is
I'll find it for you.
yeah. You will find it. It's something like Lawrence Vance. Anyway, we're gonna find it, but yeah, we wanna show you some a short yeah for what you're doing, and we encourage other people too, like take the clips and repurpose them and share, because we want the information to get out there. The doctrine. Travis.
Dr. Trav IPH.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. So brother, Ashok. Alright. Hirura. Tarutak. Always nice to see Sakena and Asara teaching truth, facts and knowledge. Freedom Master Teacher Dr. Malachi ZK York. 100%. Like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Yeah. We want everyone to know about what's going on, because we need him out. Yeah. We need him out. He's innocent. We proclaim his innocence all the time. Okay.
A donation just before that from
Darren Warwick. Yeah, I just saw it. Yeah. Again, I appreciate your donation. Yeah, every little helps because we want to do this 24/7. Yeah, so help. The etheric you, 9 ether being that has incarnated into the physical you, the vessel. Can we connect on the mental realm? What did I say? That did Dr. York mean when he said...
What did Dr. York mean?
Oh, yes, the space. What did Dr. York mean when he said you never seen it kill? If you did, you would probably be scared. Okay, so there's kind of two parts to that question. So you are connected to the etheric you. You have a double. You have what you call your oversoul. Yeah? Like we were just making fun of Adam having a navel. That's a physical connection that you have with your mother during the physical birth. But you also have an etheric connection, or etheric cord that connects you to your etheric parents. Right? So you are connected. The etheric cord is described by the master teacher, I think it's in the American Planet Risk book, that is, if you imagine an energy cord that can stretch for wherever you go, and it's connected because it's an energetic, like an elastic band. But imagine it can stretch with you wherever you go, and the connection you have with other people that are very close to you also then bonds you two together etherically. So it's like an invisible energy or energetic cord that is connected to the ethers. And so yes, you do have a connection with them and on the mental realm as well. Right, what Dr. York meant is that when you're saying about if you saw yourself, right, you don't really know what form you are because your eyes, the physical eyes, see this as an illusion. All of this is an illusion because you've never really seen anything. What you see is fractals or reflections of light that bounce off of objects. And he's basically saying, if you saw your true form, because many people may have different forms from where they come from. And just like when you see certain extraterrestrials, like the reptilians and certain beings, people will be like scared of them because they don't look like humanoid in the way we're used to seeing them. So most of the time they have to shape shift or disguise or like make themselves look in a way that you won't be frightened, you know. And we are the same in the sense of you've never really seen your true form. Yeah, so that's what that was meant when we were saying that. And if you read the actual fact, Zahuti Wuzahutinus. No, Zahuti Vision, that's it, right. If you read that one, it goes into more detail and how he takes a form of what you may consider that looks like a dragon, for example. And depending on the being and the environment, they can take on certain forms. So that's what that was explaining. Can I add to it?
About the spin something, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny because they just see his hand come.
It's the hand from Adam's family, you know the hand.
He's our brother, man. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come and ask, or yeah. The cooler voice is softer. It's going in and out.
They're saying that it's quite it's cutting out.
Is it a mic or is it?
I don't know. I know it's picking up the fan.
1, 2, 1.
It's definitely picking the fan up.
Sorry guys if we're giving you a bad experience today, but I'm gonna whoa. I nearly pulled down the whole setup. Can you hear us better now? Is that any better?
Give us a thumbs up. Give us a 9 if you can hear us clearly.
Yeah.
9s.
I hope the actual recording. What?
No, I'm watching this. It looked like the whole thing was gonna drop.
Yeah. That's what we just said. Yeah, the mic stand was about to drop. All we can say is sorry, Nadum, if we are not coming across clearly today. We're gonna sort it out for next week.
Learning.
We're learning this new platform. There's so much we can do with this, so we're just testing it out. All right. The first lesson in class, psychic class. Is it? Psychic class is automatic writing. Okay, someone just promoting. So. All right, so the 9, we're getting 9, so I guess that means you can hear us. It looks like we've gone through all the questions. Yeah, it looks like we've got. If we haven't covered your question, who is the individual who hands you the phone? His name is King.
Don't worry.
It's the hand of God.
Yeah, the hand of God.
Remember Maradona?
Don't worry.
That's the hand of God. Oh man. Hope that sounds got better. Okay, so no, I don't. Have we missed any questions? Can you see? Who is God? Okay, and who are the beings? That's one we've missed. Who is God? That's George Hughes. Who is God? And who are the beings with 6 fingers? Right back. Yeah, God means demon. And this is who in the Bible they refer to as Shad. Where you get the word Shaddai or Shaddai.
Demon.
And it's an extraterrestrial, a disagreeable extraterrestrial being, which ties into who people call like Nana, going back to his father, Enlil, and in Islam or different cultures you hear different names like Humbaba, Tarnush, yeah. But yeah, that's some of these disagreeable beings that you can't see them because that's why people couldn't see God, because if you saw him, it's very grotesque of some of these extraterrestrial beings. Right, we've got a caller, Rahul Bat. Where you calling from? What's your name? What's your question, please? Rahul Bat.
My name is Wu-Sabat, and I'm calling from New York.
Okay. Well, right.
All right. Yes. Yeah. I just wanted to call because I want to just talk about how I came into, appreciate Dr. Z York of an experience I had in 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and basically I was in the world at that time when I was coming from a club and it was late at night. It could have been about 3 a.m. And as I was driving, I looked into the sky and I saw green, like it was like a fog, but it was like green. And I was mesmerized. I was like, and I'm driving and I'm looking at it, and then something clipped it, like a building, like blocked it from my view for like maybe 2 seconds, and then it was gone. So I reversed, thinking, am I on a different angle? Because I just saw that. What was that? So I reversed. I didn't see it anymore. Then I drove up a few more blocks to make the right turn, and then there it was again, but it was in a different part of the sky. It was more higher up, and I was watching it, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, it looks like a fog, but it's concentrated in one specific area, and it's green, and it was just like enfolded in within itself, like it was bubbling. I could clearly see it was gas, but I'll always remember that experience. And then years later, I came across him explaining about this green light. That was the first time I got an explanation. I always wondered what that was. He was the first person to speak about that, and that's what really drew me in to, the profound knowledge that he had. And as I started to go down the hole of knowledge, I began to see more and more. It was like it just keeps going deeper and deeper. So I've just been a studier for like a few years now.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Did you have a question on the back of that, or you just wanted to share that?
No, I just wanted to express that, and that was it. Maybe if you wanted to speak about it, I've had other
experiences,
experiences, but that one is what I want to highlight.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's good for people to say some of this stuff because everyone has a different experience with the master teacher, and some of it is just for your own personal confirmation because different people would have had different experiences that confirms to them about, who he is, his divinity, and so on. And we can go on and on if we had a call of people sharing their experiences. Myself and Nasaru, we've all had our own experiences, some of which we've shared, but there are many that we haven't shared. So if one needs confirmation, if there is a book called My Brother the Extraterrestrial that many people share their experiences as well in that book. But it's like you can tell people your experience, but at the end of the day, if they have not had that experience themselves, it's something that, they will get their own confirmation in one way or another in a different way, So when people share their experiences, it's good for others who get to know that this is real. This is not something when you're dealing with, as you said, the green one. That's what Yanun, the green one, or Al-Qadir, as they say in Arabic, who's the green one. That when you look at the color green, even when he came, the comment that was seen, comment Bennett was green, which you don't see. Comments they don't have a green. Also, you look at nature, everything in nature that's healthy is green. You look at Osiris in ancient Egypt, on the wall he was painted green, and that's because we were originally green, and we've only become brown due to the magnesium. The magnesium being replaced by iron. Exactly. So when you start to look at the color green, it's very significant. It's the green, the healing light, So what you've shared is very, very profound and very, very useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. It was good talking to you. Yes, I want to,
Right,
you know, get closer with you guys with the celebrate and everything.
Tua. Why, man?
Bless.
Why do? What is the time? Okay, we still have like 13 minutes, maybe, roughly. So if you haven't got your question answered yet, 20 minutes. 23. Okay. Someone's keeping tabs. That's good. Yeah, if you haven't had your question, you know, you can ring in, ask us. Yeah, just needed to
Yeah, I found I want to get some live calls in.
wet the throat. I've been talking so much. I'm talking every day. So I remember the master said you could speak for like 8 days straight,
Yeah.
something like that, answering questions all day. I do it for a few hours and you feel it. Right, let's go. What else have we missed? Let's see. Cover that. Who do Christians see astrology? Why do Christians see astrology as a negative thing? Because it's been messed up and turned into what they're called. So you have astronomy and you have astrology. So they've changed it, perverted it, and turned it into something else. Like we say, there's always this distortion of the right, the truth, the real thing, and then to confuse everyone and to steal souls and take you in a different direction, they have to come with a version. Because one of the reasons why the Bible is so captivating to some people, apart from the fact of being whipped by slavery into submission, is the fact that when you go fishing, you have to have the bait. Yeah, because you're not going to catch any fish if you don't have the bait. You need that worm. And in the Bible, that bait is the real places that exist, such as Egypt. If you took Egypt out of the Bible, it would not be that convincing, because Egypt is something that people can travel to and see the pyramids, touch there. And when you put it in the book and write stories about it, it makes the book seem like it's authentic. But then you take out all the Egyptian references from the Bible and the Quran and these books, you will see that they have no weight. Why do I say the Quran? Because Abraham is also the patriarch of these monotheistic, patriarchal religions. And they all say Abraham is their father, but we know Abraham was from Mesopotamia, from Ur of Chaldea, you know, and this is modern day Iraq, Iran, and all that area. So they're not from Africa. And then the problem comes in when most of the black organizations that decided, okay, Christianity is not for us because they saw through the slavery in terms of the 1600s, but then when they go back to the 1400s, it goes into the Arabs, right? And so the Nation of Islam, the Moorish Science Temple, which picked it up, they all got ties to the Arabs too. So this is why we say that, you know, the foundations of organizations based on religion are not on a sound foundation at all. You got cool? Okay. Rahul back, call up.
Welcome back to Ken.
Hey, Rahul back.
I'm Shane. I'm calling from California. I just got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
In one of your previous lectures, you spoke about demons who need blood justified. Is there a plot to wrap on this, or is this just taken from the Dracula stories?
Oh no,
right on this?
Yes, absolutely. And oh, that way.
No, just at the bottom to the mic.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry, we're having a bit of technical issues today, so I'm trying to get with this. No, is it solved? You solved everything. Okay, so there's a master secret called Bloodlust Religion. That's the one, Bloodlust Religion, which goes into this. But this goes all the way back to something referred to as the War of Roses, which is dealing with like hemophiliacs and dealing with beings that needed to mix in with us to get our blood so that they could keloid. Yeah. Yeah, because you have to, when you start to study blood and what blood does in terms of the blood, the white blood cells and the red blood cells and hemophiliacs are, you know, this is what ties when I mentioned the Dracula story. Because if you look at that movie and that about a being that is as hell as anything, and he needs blood to stay alive, and he comes out at night because he can't take the sun or deal with the sun, and what he has to do is bite you in the neck to get your blood, to suck the blood, and that keeps him alive. And then once you're bitten, you also then go around biting other people. When you look at that in reality and look at who on the planet needs blood and why we have blood banks and why you will need to get, you know, these, what they call them, jars of blood, when blood testing only needs a little prick of blood to be put on the microscope to study it. But every time you give blood, you get 3 or 4 jars.
You're picking 2 tubes at least from
And then why is that? Because people need blood to survive all the time when they're going through certain operations. So yeah, these the story of the War of the Roses deals with the Yorks and the Lancasters, and it goes back to vampires dealing with Abraham Lincoln and certain people that you think they were doing what they call a good thing, but when you research and study, he was actually taken out by vampires. And these vampires go back to, like we keep saying, like these European. All you have to do is do the research. Do the research on what we're saying and look at what blood banks are about, and you will get to the bottom of the story. I hope that's helped. If not, you have to probe.
What's the name of that book again? I'm sorry.
Blood Lost Religion.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. You got it? Let me see if I can find it. We might have it. But yeah, you can carry on, so if you want to add more to that.
Yeah, it's all about the blood that they need.
Oh yeah, that ties into the Draco, the Draconians, and that constellation. Here as well. We're just trying to see if we can find it. If we can, we may not.
Yeah.
Look, I got it.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, we present receipts. There you go. Let me put it closer. I'm not sure if it's going to come upside down, but yeah, this is called the Bloodlust and Religion. So yeah, it goes into a lot of detail about that. Yeah. There are other scrolls as well, but this is the one that comes to mind.
Okay. And I just squeeze in one more question.
Sure.
In another lecture, like one of your earlier ones, you mentioned that earthquakes can be artificially created.
Yes, that's right.
Could you expand on that a little bit? So
Sure.
Research into it.
Yes. Are you familiar with the HARP project?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can find. So that's HARP, as in HAARP.
HARRP.
No, I think it's HAA. Let me see if I can find it.
High frequency rural research
Yeah,
program.
there you go. HAARP, right? Which stands for, as my brother was just saying, high frequency, acoustic. Sorry, I haven't found it. I found it, but I haven't found it.
High frequency rural research program.
Yeah, here you go. The high frequency active oral research program. Yeah, this is something that has been done for years, and it's about frequencies, as it says, yeah. So you can send frequencies to do something, just like there are many frequencies that are harmful or damaging. So when you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, you know, we operate on the lowest one using like electricity, but then if you look at that, you've got like gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, and all types of rays, and so it's all based on the technology of frequency, even voices and tones. So yes, they do have this. They have things like the HARP project and weather machines and things that they can use to send frequencies to cause what people might think is a natural disaster. So yeah, do some research on that HARP project.
North Alaska.
Yeah,
Okay, got it. Thank you for that.
no problem.
Water.
Why
Right.
tomorrow? Okay, we got 12 minutes. Yeah, 12 minutes. Any more? Oh, let's look at the chat. King, there you go. How are we sounding now? Any better? No. Okay. Well, we've been going strong. Gonna have a bad day sometime. But we don't see it as bad. It's all a learning experience.
Too much complaints, so
Nah, they just leave. They don't even complain, they just leave.
Yeah. Right, let's go back to the questions. Is there any more? If you haven't already done so, despite the issues we've had, hit the like button and share and subscribe. Alright, so if you haven't pressed that like button yet, it's the one that says like. Give us a thumbs up, and share this video. We should be back next week with a much better experience. Okay, so what else do we have that we haven't covered? Okay, Maramia, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Do you have the reason why many relationships fail? Yes, we do. Would you say infidelity is the main reason as populated as the world is, and would there be infidelity if there was just one race? There are different aspects to that. The first one about why relationships fail, compatibility, knowing and getting to know each other's nature, because sometimes we rush into things, and this is why Wu-Sabat and the elders were able to study people's nature and align and pick and choose who was compatible, and it was all about the offspring of bringing into the world supreme beings. So read the part like the Golden Children that goes into detail about this. And soulmates is another very good one. There's so many parts of that. So you've even got genetic kiss. You've got
18.
Yep. 37 genes of the mitochondrial DNA. You've also got the gospel of Yanun on the sacred feminine, sexual violations of wu-nuwapu or something like that. Many scrolls that deal with this compatibility of two people coming together and exchanging bodily fluids to bring about offspring by those DNAs, and then you have the personalities of the ancestors that cause conflict between two people that are not compatible. And if you're not soulmates, then the likelihood is that you are going to divide, and as you say, it's going to become a failed relationship. So by having the more correct information, you will know what to do. Now, the second part of your question, you say it as if it's only men that do it. It's both ways, but also it's because of this whole thing about one man, one woman, which is really a westernized thing. It's not, even in the Bible, that's not even fact, because most of the major characters, like Abraham, had more than one
Adam, the first man.
Even Adam, yeah. Who's his?
Two girl.
Who's-
Lilith.
Listen, you see his nature coming out. No, yeah, Lilith and Eve, right?
Yeah.
TT. But on a serious note, Abraham had Sarah, Hagar, and Keturah.
Keturah, yeah. Solomon, how many wives? Yeah.
Solomon, you know, we can name many examples which ends up in Islam as having even 4 wives and as many concubines and all that. But the point we're making is that because of the restriction of this Western system, we're not saying everyone is entitled to or should or could or can manage more, but what we're saying is that because of that restriction, people like to hide it, and lie and cheat, and it becomes worse because it's not manageable. It's not, you know, in Wu-Sabat there are very strict laws and ways about, you know, doing it properly, because it's not just about you want to frivolously or just like have it meant just for lust and all that. So, and it's about prolonging and preserving our lineage and our.
And if your mate that's
there have to be very valid reasons for it. This is why I was saying, like, you know, read those parts that we mentioned. All right, but yeah. So I think we've answered that. Do you have reasons why many relationships fail? Yeah, they don't study, they don't grow together. They're not both from Wu-Sabat. You might have conflicts within the different mindsets. 6 ether mindset causes a lot of that.
And they're just looking on the outs, so they're not looking in the internal.
Yeah. So yeah, one race, that's not reality, because the races have different strands in DNA in terms of how they started. So it was never one. This is what the Bible confuses people with by saying everyone started from Adam and Eve, and that's not true, because you've got different blood types, different complexions,
heights,
different DNA, and that would not be possible if they were, So, and scientifically, and you know, with like the latest in evidence proves that they now know by the Human Genome Project the different DNA standards, the 3 main ones that the 3 main races or root races are from. So yeah, we all had separate beginnings, if you want to call them that. Alright, we have 5 minutes left. Spaz Ruga. What scroll do I need for the blood types? If you didn't mention already, I'm always busy.
In a few books.
Yeah, quite in a few books. I mean, the ones we've mentioned as well. Genetic Kiss. There are some older scrolls as well, such as
what's that intelligent design, extraterrestrial alien design? I think that goes into it.
Intelligent design, yeah, that does. Plot of the alien, yeah, that goes into it. Then you've also got Freaks and the Perfect Creature, that goes into that as well. If you're not already in our Telegram group, make sure you subscribe to the Telegram group, because we can post and show you excerpts and things from the scroll if you don't have access to it. Oh, sorry, I meant main. Okay, alright, cool. That's from Mara Mia. X Dark Awakening X. We are all brothers and sisters on earth, all born with hearts, not guns. Okay. I'm not sure if that's relating to a conversation that you guys may be having. Yeah, the heart seat is a short love, and really it is about love.
Yeah, but not everyone has that, man.
Not everyone has a shook, but he's saying everyone has a heart. Having a heart is just the seat where you're supposed to exercise and express a shook if you have it. Okay. Mara here, so thank you for answering. You're welcome. Let me go back to the top and scroll through. Yeah, we know that we've only got 3 minutes left, but we're gonna see if we can see if we've missed anything.
Get the last call in if you can.
Yeah, get your last question in. Yeah, we just want to say, yeah, sorry for the noise today. We're trying to give you a better experience, but we have to experiment with certain things to make sure that it's gonna work properly. So
being the scientist that we are.
Being the scientists that we are. So this was a part of the experiment. Okay, let's see what else is left. Okay. Oh, can you describe hell? Is it an actual place of fire and torment? We missed that one out. You're living it here on the planet Earth. No, that's part of it. But hell has many renditions. You can give yourself hell by your mind. And yes, you're living in hell in certain parts of the planet where you see nothing but suffering, you know, violence, all kinds of crack, addiction, homelessness, you know, there's so much wars, killings, violence, and yeah, there's also talk of a place in what they used to say hell is below. That's why most people say hello every morning, every day when they get up. Hell is low because it's a vibration. It's a low vibration. It deals with your carnal desires, which is really that fire that burns for you to constantly want to deal with materialism, deal with lust. The red, you see, they depict that lowest chakra as red because it's about fire and it's dealing with that desire. And you need to burn it out in order to move upwards to the higher consciousness and the higher colors, to the green that we were talking about, to the violet, to the blackness, to the darkness, you see. So that's another way of looking at it in terms of health. You know, low vibration, low energy. I don't know if you want to...
the master teacher also wrote Shambhala and Akita in the earth. So obviously some beings, when they went there, they encountered certain beings, and to them that was hell to them. But obviously to some beings it wasn't hell.
Okay. Miss Emlitz, the other person I heard this happen to was the rapper Prodigy from Mobeat. Yeah. That's what made me ask, because the exact same thing happened to him before he was on the live. I don't know if there was a conversation, but yeah, you know, Prodigy, watch his video. Yeah. You know, he was the master teacher. He read the books and he started to speak on it. And yeah, and unfortunately, he
had an audio book on YouTube. I don't know if it's still up there.
Yeah.
But he was talking about it.
Yeah, he was releasing that book just before he passed away. But yeah, he definitely was a soldier. Yeah. You know, when it so shook to him. Because yeah, you know what comes was telling the truth and standing for what's right, and the adversaries don't like that because they want to tell their version of it, which is the opposite.
Persecution of the righteous, man.
Yep. What's this? Graham. I've been watching videos of the master teacher's talks in the Nation of Islam. Is he a Muslim, and does he subscribe to that because it's just talking from a... No, he was teaching on everything. So he was explaining about the origins of the Nation of Islam, which many people don't know about, that it was known as the Voodoo Temple. Yeah, and its roots go back to what we're calling Arabs. And, you know, so he was just explaining how they were led astray because most of the teachings refer to Asiatic. You know, they're talking about Asia and Asiatic black man and all of that. And Asia is not Africa, you see. So the master teacher was like, he took us through all the religious schools, and Islam is just a form of religion, and Christianity, even though it was, you know, progressive in the 60s and 70s, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the founder, was teaching do for self. He was those are the kind of things where he was saying, come together, clean up yourself, and do for self, build for yourself. And so, though most of the recordings you're hearing online, those go back many, many years ago when the master was taking us and teaching us everything about these different religions and organizations, so we can actually learn what they were about. But then eventually we moved away from religion and went back to our culture of Wu-Sabat, you see. So that's what you were saying. He teaches on everything. You hear him teach on the Hebrew Israelites, teaching on Christianity, Judaism, Masonry, Nation of Islam, science,
Sunni, Shia, Ahmadiyya,
he taught on all of it. That's why we say he's a master teacher. But we've run out of time. It's now 33, exactly, past 9. So that's interesting, 9 and 6. So we're going to leave it right there. We want to give a shout to everyone who has called in, represented, liked, shared our videos, and for supporting us, you know.
Anyone interested in necklaces, nashat.co.uk?
Yeah,
check us out.
Get the plug-in. We are here with so much for you, and we're nearly at 100k. So help us reach that, and we've got a lot more in store for you. So until next week, same time, same place, with a better experience. Wadu.
Wadu Moisa.
Wadu family. Bye family.